Well, morning everyone, Kevin at Halo Power. We are out at South Cooking Lake today where we're finishing up this 60 amp to 100 amp service upgrade. So you can see on the house, the existing overhead service comes in, pointed connections just below the soffit, very common on older homes. And the old meter socket's there with a pipe that came over here. So this is the old 60 amp service. This is getting removed completely as we have relocated the new 100 amp service over to the garage. And you can see our friends from Fortis are up there just getting the old cable disconnected. So when we do these overhead service upgrades, a lot of the times we end up relocating the service to the garage, like the garage behind me here. The reason why is, well, there is a huge increase in the amount of people buying electric vehicles. And if you've got your main service located in your garage where you're going to park your EV, it just makes sense to have that main panel there. We put your EV charging station in the garage, and then we carry on with an underground line that goes back to the house. The other great thing about moving the overhead service to the garage is you get rid of that old overhead power line that's usually hanging quite low in your backyard. All right, that old overhead cable is disconnected. You can see it laying down, and Fortis is just going to go over and connect it onto the garage. Okay, you can see our friends at Fortis have completed their connection up top. So the home is now energized off the new overhead service that feeds from the power pole to the back of the garage. Okay guys, so I'm just inside the garage now, and you can see right behind me there is a new 100 amp panel, and it is feeding a 100 amp panel that is in the house now. So the home is now powered basically off a sub panel that comes off of this panel in the garage. So the main 100 amp breaker is down here, and then we have a 100 amp breaker feeding the panel in the house. Okay, so just on the outside of the garage here, so this weatherproof junction box is where we brought power out of the garage, and then we trenched from here straight back across the garden to the house. Now, so what's nice is that old overhead line that ran from the alley all the way to the home is now completely gone for the power. We've taken down the conduit, and we just left the old meter box on the outside of the house with a blank weatherproof cover on it. So this old 60 amp panel, the back door is a Federal Pacific stab lock. One of the most common old panels that we replace. They're notorious for breakers not tripping when overloading. The reason I call them a stab lock is because they've got this spade type head on the back of the breaker, and it stabs into the bus bar connection right back in there. Okay, behind me you see the new 100 amp panel we put in the home. So this is fed off that 100 amp panel in the garage, and all the old circuits in the house are now extended down to tie into this safe and new homeline panel. So with the old 60 amp panel at the top of the stairs, we actually gutted it and used it as a junction box to connect all of the old circuits in the home to extend the back down here, and then put panel fillers in and buttoned it up. So didn't have to open up the wall or do any damage. Okay, behind me is that old Federal Pacific panel that you saw in the beginning that used to feed the home, the old 60 amp panel. We had a discussion with our inspector, and he agreed that we could use the panel as a junction box to extend the old wiring back down to the basement. So we didn't have to rip open the wall or do any damage. It was nice and clean, and then we just installed breaker fillers where the old breakers used to be. So it's basically just a box with a cover now. No mess, no holes. And they close the door, and it's like it never happened. So that's it. Another 100 amp overhead upgrade completed out here at South Cooking Lake. And yeah, with this one having the power on the garage, it really cleaned things up, made it very modern. And if the customer ever does get an electric vehicle, they'll be able to plug it in and charge it in the garage. What could be better than that? Till next time, I'm Kevin with Halo Power. River Day, we're bringing power for life.